Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Executive Insights by Mediacorp, Trends You Need to Know. Now, this is the first Executive Insights webinar for the year, and it's usually the one where we kind of, I hate to say look into the crystal ball, but we kind of look at what the year is shaping up like the year ahead. I invite a great panel who are here to kind of hold your hand a little bit and to give you the encouragement for what you need to do, what you need to look at, need to get on the back of right away. So let me start by introducing my guests today. I'm so happy to have them on board. We've had some dry run sessions, and looking at the content, I'm very excited for them to share. So first of all, I want to say hi to Munas. Hi, Munas. Coming for our Managing Director, Southeast Asia for Monks. Then we have Eric from OMD. Hi, Eric. And then, of course, I'll say an old friend, Guan from the One Club for Creativity. But also, Guan, congratulations on your recent induction into the into Association of Advertising and Marketing Singapore Hall of Fame, right? One of the luminaries in the Singapore advertising industry. So very proud to have them on board. Now, I am Dasheng. I actually head up commercial planning industry solutions for Mediacorp. We've been doing these webinars since COVID, and they've only gone from strength to strength. If I'm not wrong, we've already had more than 150 speakers, and we've had more than 6,000 people who attended these webinars over the last couple of years. So all of you who are in the room are in the right place, right? And we're going to kick off the year of Snake in a spectacular fashion in the next hour. Now, we've looked at the materials that we have. I'm going to say it's all very inspiring, but we're likely to run a little bit long today. So a little bit, right, depending on where we go, because what we want to do is get through all the materials, have some time to answer some of your burning questions, and then call it a day. But it's going to run a little bit long. So those of you who can stay with us for a little bit longer, I think you'll appreciate what we're going to put on board. When we got together to put this session together, other than talking about the nuts and bolts of what's going on in the industry, we want you to leave today feeling a great sense of inspiration, right? And I want to say that I think we've achieved that. So without further ado, let me just get on with it because we have so much to cover. Next. So we're going to start. We don't want all of you to be leaning back. In the webinar, we can't quite see the room. So to feel the pulse of what's happening, we're going to start with a poll. We would like to know, for all of you in the room right now, what area of marketing are you most interested in? We have 5 choices for you. Take a second or so to kind of tap them out, a single choice, and then we will kind of give the speakers a sense of what's in the room. So as they speak, they can address your concerns. Okay, Chai Fong, do we have the results? Okay, I think it's really quite even-handed, right? Good that it's so even-handed because we're going to be covering much of this today. So all of you are really in the right place. Now, interested in is kind of different from our next poll. Okay, so what you're interested in might not be your biggest challenge. We would like to know what is your biggest challenge in marketing coming up, or what's really keeping you up at night. So there are 5 choices here. So take a second and give us your feedback. Okay, Chai Fong, do we have the results of this? Let's see what's keeping everyone up at night. Creating impactful content. Okay, so Guan, I think your job is done, right? Your job is ahead of you. I think all of you are going to be very happy with this because there are so many examples that we put together to answer to those. So could I, Chaifeng, next 2 slides, please. So when we did this session last year in the beginning of 2024, we said that there were 3 key things that we're going to see explode in 2024. One was that social commerce is going to reign. So what we've seen is that in 2023, GMV was estimated to be 1.6 billion. It's going to grow to 11.4 billion. I think we can all say that since in the past year, we've seen this space grow. The exact number we're still trying to triangulate and get a reading on it as the year has just ended. But with the explosion of TikTok Shop and all the live streams that you're seeing, I think we can all say that this is happening. Okay, so one call correct. Second of all, short form video content dominates, right? The rise of TikTok. I mean, even though TikTok's reach in Singapore is about 45%. It is really a platform that continues to grow nonstop, and which is why, as they say, imitation is the best form of flattery. You've got other platforms that are now also going on short form content. Now, there is something that's been happening in China. Those of you who know microdramas have boomed, right? And happy to note that in Singapore, this trend is now catching on and bearing fruit. So we've had 2 very successful microdramas that in a span of, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks have garnered 6 to 7 million views. So we know that this format works, and we're happy to have called it, and we're on this riding this wave. The third one is that generative AI, is the game changer. And I think Guan was invited to a future-proof session, a thought leadership session with us, and he shared a lot about this about a year and a half back. And this has started to bear fruit, and we see all this happen. And I think Munas, everyone will talk a lot about AI and what it can do for your business and how to utilize it. Okay, so I also wanted to give you a sense. At Mediacorp, I have the privilege of working with over 3,000 brands. And these are some sound bites of what these brands are telling us, right? They want better in-show integration. They want the content, they want to be integrated. They don't want to be a logo mention or a product placement. They want their USPs to be integrated into the storytelling itself, right? Clearly, everyone wants to collect social media data, and they want to profile their users. So this has also been a big ask from us. Many brands are saying, with the way budgets are, guys, branding budgets are, shrunk, and everyone's going for mid-funnel conversion. In fact, we have many clients coming to us to say, okay, Dasheng, I don't need you to convert. I need you to show me clear consideration lifts. Okay, so how are you going to do this for me? Then clearly all this is coming on the back of demands for more content creation. Clearly something that everyone in the room said, okay, where is that going? How can we do this? And I'm going to say that much of this is being done not with us saying that we know everything, but with us, bringing in partners from throughout the industry, because everyone's going to be a master of some skill in this ecosystem, and we can't do it alone. So with partners, and as you will see, my partners in crime today are going to give you a great showing of what's available out there. Okay, now I'm going to bring you to look at some numbers. Now look at these numbers. This is what we have triangulated to. This is kind of the SG marketing budget spend graph in Singapore. So you've seen about 1.3 billion in 2019. It's kind of tapered down in 2023 to about 1.77 billion, we think, right? But what's more important here is look at the shifts. So search remains very, very strong. Content and commerce related social media, and that has grown at a very strong CAGR, right? And that's coming really on the back of how brands are re-looking at their pure display and inventory buys. right? Now, not to say that that's not important, and I think Eric is going to bring up that point, but it's about the fact that the reallocation's been happening where inventory is then being used to amplify the content commerce related social media investments that you're making. Okay, now with this so when I see the 1.77 billion, guys, I want you to know that makes my job really, really tough, right? Because all of you are demanding far more of the network. Okay, but that's what doesn't keep me up at night, but it wakes me up in the morning, right? And gets me back on the horse. Okay, so the next chart is, I think this is the one that's looming. Okay, we have this thing called the RTS that is launching in 2026. We've been having conversations with key brands since last year about how we together with them are going to partner to deal with this potential leakage of about $1.5 to $2 billion in retail revenue. That's huge, right? Because if I imagine 1.52 billion in retail revenue leakage, if I take, let's say, a 5%, estimate of that in terms of what you would be spending on marketing out of your budget, right, from your cost of sale, we're talking about $70 million straight out of this market. So you guys are potentially in hot soup. We are also, walking the line on tenterhooks. So the key here is we need to work together to make sure that we don't come out of this RTS opening worse off, or that we pivoted in some sort of an interesting, innovative way, right? To still secure the retail spends or the client or the consumer engagements in Singapore. Now, enough of this. I hope this wasn't doom and gloom, but I wanted to just set the stage to say that this is what we're really looking at in the next, 12 to 18 months, right? And I encourage all of you, if you've not thought about how the RTS will affect your business in the next 6 to 8 months, please start putting it high up on your agenda. Okay, so now with that, I wanted to hand over to Eric, coming from the media landscape perspective, to tell us some of his best pieces of advice, tips and tricks of how to optimize for the year ahead. Okay, so over to you, Eric.
All right, thank you, Dasheng. Let's get straight into it. I think firstly, the theme for 2025, I feel it's less about making massive leaps and more about taking what already works and making it work smarter for you. I think you kind of touched on it just before. Whether you're an agency, an advertiser, or a vendor, the headline still really reads "do more for less." So what is happening in the media landscape that can help us drive the effectiveness and deliver on that ask that's been put on us? So we go to the next topic, or the first topic, which is the evolution of search. Now, we're not quite there yet, but we are steadily sprinting towards this idea of the death of the 10 blue links. Now, when I say 10 blue links, I'm referring to the stacked URLs that we used to kind of get in our search engines, but this is evolving. It's really being pushed by the expectations of users. Now, if we look at where we started back in the day, it was really about putting exact Boolean search queries into your engine. Now, you would typically flick through many pages before finding what you really need buried deep in the results. There were obviously other challenges during this period, such as poor ranking algorithms, limited indexing, but all that meant was a really poor, clunky user experience. Now we're asking conversational queries to our search engines. So the way in which we're interacting with them is almost how you would type something, or how you would speak to a friend, really. And you see it all the time. So mid-conversation, you'll stop and ask, and hang on, we'll just go back one side, hang on, our mermaid's real. And you pick up your phone and type the exact question in, and in the exact conversational tone, you get your response. Now, I grabbed a quote from an article I'd read a while back, and I think most of us resonate with this. And the quote reads, "I have to admit it, when browsing the internet, my patience has become low, like really low, and I demand nothing but accurate, personalized answers fast." And they're right. I think we all kind of want this instant gratification from our search engines. Now, if we go on to the next slide, we can have a look at what is driving the hunger for this immediate information. Two things worth highlighting, which I'm sure we're all across: AI and social media. So I'll spend a couple minutes, if I can, talking through those a little. Now, AI search results have had a bit of a staggered approach in terms of their availability. And if you're not familiar with AI search, I put a reference in the middle, but I'm referring to that overview that you can get in the top of your results. So here I've asked, in a conversational way, what is a good pet for a small apartment? Now, what I get is a succinct overview of the perfect pets for my tiny little apartment, along as well with a snapshot of the key animals that were referenced in the overview so that I can learn more in case I wasn't familiar with them. Now, this overview is being pulled from multiple different sources and content ecosystems to create what it deems as the snappiest response that can really help me. Now, this is obviously extremely helpful to people browsing, but what about us as advertisers? So perhaps if we change this search query to one about your specific product, and think about that for a second. As an advertiser, it's important to know how and why people are searching your category. Do they want to know what the best network coverage is? Do they want to know what is the most value for money? Is it the most sustainable? What suits their lifestyle? Once you know what people need, and I'm sure everyone knows this already from their SEM and their current marketing activity, you then need to ensure that you have content in the right environments that answer these questions. That way, AI is able to pull all of these pieces together and put your product front and center in the perfect search result. Now, if we think about it from an FMCG brand as an example, where it's really difficult to win mental space, it's like quick turnaround product research, you'll need to have answers as to why you're the best in comparison websites and articles, online reviews, online forums, obviously, as well as your own website. Only then will you kind of get to the top of the search results. Now, we're yet to hit max velocity on AI overviews. So whilst I'm sure everyone here has a robust SEM approach, I think it's really time we think about how we can improve our content strategy to fuel product discovery. We're also seeing product discovery on TikTok. We have a couple of stats here to show you on the next slide. Not only is it evolving in search engines, we're really seeing a shift from typical search engines into TikTok, specifically in our SEA region as well. I think Indonesia is one of the biggest globally. Now, 20% of TikTok users in SEA are using the platform as their primary search tool. And not just because they're addicted to the platform, 56% of them are actually finding it more than traditional search engines. And Dasheng spoke about TikTok Shop before. To be honest, you now have TikTok search, all of your in-feed, you have shoppable, so you have a complete marketing funnel within that ecosystem that we need to start considering. So
Yeah,
the
and
three things, yeah.
Eric, we've also heard some new improvements coming on the YouTube platform too, to enable quick purchase, in stream. So yes, this space is really buzzing. We're covering a lot, so I'm really going to encourage everyone in the room that if you have a burning question, please go into the chat box or Q&A and type your questions in, right? And because we're reviewing them as we're presenting. And as moderator, so sometimes I can float your question up immediately. Thank you. Back to you, Eric.
Yeah, cool. And just on your point, Dasheng, I think like the influx of shoppable driven by TikTok Shop, you have all of these platforms within this region that, it's just e-commerce and shoppertainment is crazy. The three things I'd say to take away from what we've spoken about: diversify. So think holistically about your search strategy, what we spoke about, what role does TikTok play, but really think about intent-based discovery, because that's what we're seeing. Content strategy, huge one. Review it. Make it easier for AI-driven engines to interpret your brand's information accurately, and monitor the evolution. I think with what was happening in TikTok in the US, we saw like spikes in Xiaohongshu as an example. Are people going to start shifting to that and use that as a search engine? So we really need to kind of, keep our eye on this at the moment. Next topic, agentic era. Simply means AI tools or agents talking to other AI agents. Now, without getting into the details too deep, there is a bit of a line of separation between how traditional AI works and agentic AI. Put simply, traditional AI models simply respond to prompts or execute predefined tasks, and they're quite rigid. Agentic AI is the scary AI. It can talk with AI components. They can perceive the environment, plan and take actions, and even learn from experiences. Now, I'd say most of the conversations and what you see in the trade press now about benefit workflow and driving efficiencies. So what do we need to know? Here we're looking at basically the consumer lens. Again, it's all being driven by consumer expectations. People want to offload their digital errands and get more time back for themselves. They want responses that are more and more personalized, but they also still want to have or feel like they're in control. So these three key behaviors are accelerating the adoption of AI agents and kind of why we need to keep our eye on it. I'll give you an example on the next slide to help put it into context. This is a working example from a colleague, so he may be on the call. As part of their role, they're always traveling within APAC. For those of you that travel frequently for work, you know there's a lot of admin that comes with it, templates that you need to fill for approvals and so on. Now, what they've done is essentially create a multi-agent collaboration. So 3 agents that work together and curate a response that answers their needs and then can be put into a neat Excel for their EA to approve. Now, when prompting find me tickets to Sydney in March and the best hotel that's close to my office, it's all filtered through a supervisor agent. So this is the one that orchestrates and governs. And remember, these all speak to each other, right? Now, there's agents under that that understand the user's personal preference based on their history, their digital patterns, etc. One that understands airline price fluctuations, fill rates for specific flight paths, and another that knows the most talked about hotels for social clout and also the most reasonable costs. So they all talk to each other, pull the information together, send it to the supervisor agent, which then gets passed over to the person. They then can say, yep, go ahead and book it. It all gets dumped into the template and sent to the EA. So it's easy to see how it works for consumers. But again, what about us as advertisers? So in this scenario, if you're an airline, if you are a hotel, if you are travel insurance, if you are a taxi company, you need to be thinking about how these agents can help pull you into these options. So your brand, again, is becoming front and center. And that's the challenge we need to prepare for. So 3 things on this, I would say, is examine and understand what large language models are saying about your brand. It's really about knowing how we're being recommended in response to user questions. That's critical. Second is experiment with your search approach. I think experimenting with direct to agent strategies is something new for us, but something we'll need to be considering. Essentially, we'll need to know how we can win valuable digital shelf space, because based on the velocity of e-commerce, it's going to get to a stage where AI is doing the shopping for us. Scary, I know, but I think it's heading that way. And elevate our product data. So today's agents, at least, they need information to be structured and detail oriented. So we need to focus on attributes and descriptions that are optimized for AI agents to be able to take on board.
Yeah, so Eric, you're recommending that everyone do sort of a mind map, right? Of potential of what their potential ecosystem looks like and how they can plug in to partners.
100%. And I'd say, like, at the start, we talked about, AI and search. So that's one thing. There's AI searching, the web ecosystem. But now we're thinking about, okay, how are these agents kind of collecting information? So you're 100% correct. It's like, all right, how do I pull all of my information and put it in the right ecosystem? So if it's either AI or if it's, large language modeling, it's able to be collated and put front and center. So yeah, mind map 100%. Big room, whiteboard, get all the pieces of paper on the wall. All right, I think last one. I'll be quickly on this. It's the age of abundance. If we go on to the next slide, we talk about a few media planner complaints, but essentially a challenge we all talk about in agency land is the fragmentation of media. You can't stop hearing about it. And it's true. It's made more difficult to plan as audiences are strewn across multiple environments, multiple devices. Something that I find quite common in Singapore is when faced with the challenge of spreading your budget into multiple channels, and I know we all hate spreading budgets thin, clients sometimes opt to consolidate into 1 to 2 performance channels, obviously because you can see more immediate returns on your dollar. But what this fragmentation is really forcing us to do is consider how we plan for attention over reach. Now, it can be done through planning for this idea of ecosystems. So think AV or screen strategies rather than channel silos. Now, I've grabbed 2 graphs from Walk on the next slide. Back in the old days, we used to call it the multiplier effect, but even now we still see when we execute an effective omni-channel campaign, there are multiple benefits. But in short, the messaging has a better chance of sticking with the consumer. When omni-channel planning, we need to also be clear on the role of every element within our ecosystem. But furthermore, we need to know what the attention levels are of each of those to inform how we communicate, along with the long-term profit that they can deliver for us. So you can see clearly on the graph on the right that a smart screen or AV strategy can help build the reach on social, use your short form content that we've spoken about, but also you can use brand building in some of those other AV channels so that you can get, a mix of that short term and long term. And obviously, yeah, brand is, I think, brand is number one. So the three key takeouts I'd say in this regard are, moving forward, I think it's important to not lose sight of omni-channel planning. Obviously, it depends on your objectives and brief, but we need to start viewing media ecosystems rather than channels in silos. Know what the attention decay is on all of your channels. Your media agency should know this. Also know that sometimes sacrificing reach in favor of attention can deliver you more effective gains, not just in the long term, but short as well. If we had the time, but I know Munis and Guan are going to talk about this, I'd love to talk about story worlds, but essentially it's how all of these channels in your ecosystem can add something to the greater story you're trying to sell. So if you are running long form brand in online video, as an example, what is your short form social doing to extend and, benefit that larger story? Yeah, I think that's the whistle tour for me.
Well, Eric, you've kind of sped through everything that you've had to share. And there were questions that were just buzzing along, and I'm very happy that you came to this point where I think very often humans like to think in terms of left and right or wrong, and all that. And for the longest time, I would say that if we live not in a world of or, but in a world of and, which is what I think Guan will touch on a little bit later on, I think we'd be all better marketers, right? So there was a question about, so how does Mediacorp play in all of this or whatever? So, in the same spirit as the animal of the year, the snake, I think we've become so incredibly flexible, knowing that, a 30-second TV spot also works as, some that could be transformed in something on radio, which could also be transformed to something on social. So, with 33 platforms and more than 400 influencers and, our studios and everything, in the bag, we actually have flexed, and we're no longer the Mediacorp of your mom and dad anymore, right? Because we're looking at cutting edge solutions, understanding that it is not a world of or. You need to do branding, but the branding really needs to drive consideration. The consideration needs to drive a conversion. And so we've got through the line solutions. And so thank you for sharing that. And I want to then now turn the attention over to Munas, and who has some really good examples to share with us, especially in the social space. Hi, Munas.
Hi, thank you so much, Dasheng. I'm Munas van Boonstra, the Managing Director of Southeast Asia at Monks. We're an integrated agency driving creativity, media, technology, and innovation. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to answer any questions you have in future.
At this, and Munas has actually made time out of a very busy trip to Jakarta. So she's actually Zooming us from Jakarta. And I just love how integrated we can be on this online platform. So thank you so much for making time for us, Munas.
No worries, thank you. Okay, let's start with the next slide. So the pace of marketing has accelerated like never before, right? Driven by the explosive growth of social-first content, real-time engagement, and the demand for hyper-personalization. So what used to take months for brands to create campaigns now can happen in days or even hours. So next slide. Yet, despite the speed, the reality is the marketing ecosystem is very, very tangled. This is the reality of what brand and marketing managers go through. The current model is very fragmented, complex, and layered, involving multiple teams, agencies, and approval processes across various business units, products, regions, and channels. So the result is very long production cycles, higher costs, and a slower go-to-market process. And like what Eric said earlier on, everybody wants lesser, better, cheaper, right? So if you go to the next slide, in this case, for Dasheng, he's the brand manager or marketer. Like all of you here in this call, you guys are drowning in endless workflows, approvals, and production efficiencies. And a lot of that also really drains your budgets, right? So, but here's the game changer. Next slide. AI is rewriting the economics of social and advertising, right? So next slide. AI is truly collapsing speed, cost, and creative volume through a powerful ecosystem of tools that assist. And you can use AI for copywriting and translation. So of course, everyone's very familiar with ChatGPT, but there are many, many others out there. Also using AI for photography. So what used to be long photography sessions that are costly, takes days, times, edits, can now be done via AI. Also, simple AI background editing and changes for all of you who are going into e-commerce. Also, with social first approach and digital approach, you will need your campaigns to be in different sizes, right? To fit for IG, fit for TikTok. I mean, it's endless today, right? Hero banners, digital banners, whatever. So you can also now use AI to resize and adapt. So that speeds up the process by a lot. And also using AI to all the different versions for scale. So the result is better, faster, cheaper marketing assets without compromising quality. Yay for all marketers. It's something that you guys want to hear. Now, with all this talk of AI, you might wonder, does creativity then disappear, right? Quite the opposite. AI is not replacing creativity. In fact, it's amplifying it. And I think, Guan will give you very, very good in-depth knowledge on that later. If you go to the next slide. Here is a perfect example of how AI and human ingenuity can fuel massive creativity and hyper-personalization for a brand. So today's consumers crave hyper-personalization and creativity because we're in this world of content, right? Everything has to be entertainment. So especially in this case for Burger King, which is the food and beverage industry, where taste is very personal and experience is everything, right? So gamification fuels engagement with interactive challenges, and it rewards by increasing participation by about 48%. The thrill of competition and achievement keeps customers coming back for more, right? So that's that gamification, curiosity, like, okay, what's next, So AI is definitely reshaping marketing, right? A report shows that 81% of consumers are open to AI-driven personalization that enhance their brand experience. So even though AI is probably the one that's delivering this to you, you're okay. You are absolutely okay with it already. So Burger King took innovation to the next level, whereby they developed an AI-driven platform that lets users create unique Whopper ingredient combinations. You all know the Whopper. Through a bespoke web experience, leveraging advanced AI and diffusion-based technologies, whereby they then transform user-generated ideas into personalized AI-generated ads with immersive thematic visuals, which are then expanded to social platforms. So the result, it's a groundbreaking fusion of creativity, AI, and gamification that redefines customer engagement. So let's watch how all this comes to life in the Burger King $1 Million Whopper case study video.
So, you're here to make a Whopper. Well, I'm your trusty AI companion, Brillium. Now, how are you going to top your Whopper? Ooh, now we're talking. That could be $1 million combination. Wow, look at what you've made. No Whopper is complete without a world-class ad. Let's crown your Whopper creation.
This is my Ritmo Whopper, with cotton candy and other toppers, with some gummy bear and licorice in there. Try and top that if you dare.
BK, have it your way.
How are you gonna top it?
Okay, so there's a question in Q&A, like how do AI campaigns, bring value or sales? Well, this basically resulted in 2.93 million AI Whoppers created. It created 1.27 million free Whopper UGC ads that went online on social media platforms. But most importantly, there was a massive surge of Whopper sales by 28%. So this goes to show that an AI-driven campaign can lead to sales, right? So we'll go to the next slide. Feel free to take a screenshot of this slide if you want. Next slide.
So much fun, Munaf.
Okay, so Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing digital markets, right? Driven by hyper social, mobile first consumers. We're all on the mobile, we're all on the apps, right? So to stay ahead, brands must expand beyond the usual Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, just as what Eric had mentioned earlier on, right? Omni-channel marketing is very, very important. But we need to tap into the unique strengths of the emerging and dominant social platforms in the region, right? Each platform serves a different purpose. Understanding their strengths and role is key in maximizing engagement and impact. So take WhatsApp, for example. While traditionally it's a messaging app, it has evolved into a powerful social commerce tool, integrating even with AI chatbots for direct-to-consumer engagement. So this has also now become social commerce platform and also a social channel, WhatsApp, which is something we never thought would be possible, right? And in places like Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia, especially, brands are definitely leveraging WhatsApp Business as a lead generation channel, a conversational commerce tool, and customer service and retention driver. Again, this is something that's a huge thing, and it's actually not even costly for businesses to do. So sometimes people think, oh, omni-channel, like what Eric said, oh, your budget be thinned out. That's not true. There are very cheap options, right? So, and then we go to the next slide. We have the rise of relatable influence, right? Local and micro nano influencers are leading the way. So according to Meta, about 70% of Southeast Asian consumers are relying on influencers before making a purchase. So Sephora here is a great example. They utilize local influencers in their TikTok and Instagram strategy. So forget macro, mega, or celebrity influencers. The real game changers today are actually the micro and nano influencers. These are everyday people who are highly active on social media. That could be any of us, and we are deeply connected to their communities. You no longer need to have high followers to be this person. Why? Because higher engagement and authenticity and conversion rates is what gives consumers the trust for real voices over polished celebrity endorsements. Right? So local micro and nano influencers, they connect directly with niche audiences for localized impact. So it is a very cost-effective and scalable thing to do for brands. You can work with multiple influencers to reach diverse demographics without breaking the bank. So in this final example is how a brand turned a nobody to a brand icon. An absolute nobody. It could be any one of us, right? And this is a Cannes goal-winning case study. In a bold move, Mercado Libre, which is the Amazon or Shopee of Latin America, they turned this absolute nobody into their own celebrity brand influencer without anyone realizing it, right? So by infiltrating a popular TV show, so you guys can think of these ideas and contact Mediacorp. No ads, no logos.
Welcome.
Right? And this is the thing that they did, very on-brand. There was no ads, no logos, right? Something that we don't think works in marketing 101. It's just organic storytelling. They ended up educating millions about their brand, turning an absolute unknown figure into a viral social media sensation. This is the power of unbranded storytelling, proving that sometimes going unbrand is the smartest way to build a brand. So let this inspire new ways, and so let's see this video.
This is the story on how a whole TV network, top celebrity judges,
Me volas la cabeza.
more than 18 million viewers, and all social media
Este tipo fue una locura.
believed that this made-up guy
Yo la pasé increíble, no sé si gané.
got talent. Presenting the Infiltrated Talent, an undercover brand at the Got Talent show. Let's start from the beginning. Mercado Libre, e-commerce leader in Latin America, wanted a brand ambassador that stands out from the rest. So we created one with a unique talent.
Soy demasiado fan de Mercado Libre, a tal punto que cualquier cosa que veo, sé cómo encontrarla en la plataforma.
And we infiltrated him where the best ones compete.
¿Podés decirme de memoria dónde encuentro el look de ella?
Un chino Praga negro y las zapatillas Ram Falcon 3.0, categoría moda, en tendencia, un vendedor de Almagro que en 24 horas te llega a tu casa.
To make it credible, we gave him a social backstory. And in the end, it worked.
Adelante nuestro participante. Un participante nuevo.
Soy un buscador profesional de Mercado Libre.
Apa.
Me pueden consultar cualquier cosa sobre la plataforma que yo te la respondo.
Tercer producto más vendido de cuidado de la piel.
Es un serum con ácido hialurónico de 30 mililitros.
Es verdad. Es verdad.
Una tendencia en la categoría de iluminación.
Aro de luz LED doble.
Yo creo que yo también podría estar en el programa con ese talento.
Y todos tenemos ese amigo que es realmente un experto en Mercado Libre.
Buena. ¿Cómo era?
Mercado Librólogo.
Esta campera puffer en tendencia. Un desafío para Emir. Casco para moto integral.
¿Sos mentalista vos también?
Gracias por dejarme compartir mi talento con todos ustedes.
So I hope this inspires new ways for you guys to disrupt, engage, and create brand love in unexpected places. And next to Guan Hin, the creative maestro.
Hey, Guan Hin.
Wow.
You're gonna bring us home to a big finish.
Yeah, fantastic presentation, Munas. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to say thanks, Dasheng, for also introducing a great introduction for me. And just want to let everyone know that Dasheng is also a Hall of Fame for the Media Mongol. So congratulations to you. You know, it's been proven that creativity, right, can maximize with each dollar spent and to get the eyeballs needed to improve your ROI. You know, as Eric mentioned just now, how creativity can be used to beat the algorithms, which is fantastic. Creativity, as we all know, has been the lifeblood of innovation. So in 2025, I think the way the brands connect with the audience is evolving rapidly, as you can see from both the presentations. And today, I'll explore 3 trends driving the most inspiring campaigns, right? Purpose-driven innovation, AI-driven personalization, and gamification paired with multi-sensorial engagement from award-winning examples from the One Asia Awards. So I'm the APAC regional director of the One Club, and we do foster these creative awards, and we hope to share as much as possible. Also, I'll be exploring from my book Collide, Embracing Conflict to Boost Creativity, a bestseller in Penguin. And I want to share with you, creativity doesn't come from a vacuum. It also comes from a friction, right? Where unexpected ideas collide, technologies collide, cultural shifts collide, and innovation will just spark and expand. So let's go to the next slide. The first trend I want to talk about is purpose-driven innovation and social impact. Purpose is the new currency, right? Today's consumers demand brands stand for something meaningful, right? So 2 examples I share with you from Vaseline Skin for Skins, done in Singapore for the region, and to match burn victims who've donated skin. And there is another example from New Zealand for Pedigree Adoptable campaigns to help shelter dogs to find homes, right? And these societal challenges isn't always easy. It's not very comfortable. But when brands step up to make these challenging spaces, they create powerful, authentic stories that resonate. So let's go to the next slide. This is an example for Pedigree Adoptable campaign, and it's a perfect example. As you've seen from Muna's work, right? Again, using AI, but I thought this particular work not only won tons and tons of awards, right? It's using AI for purpose. It created personalized ads showcasing shelter dogs' personality and preference, and also potential adopters connected emotionally well with each dog's story, leading to increased dogs being adopted. This campaign was a collision of compassion and technology. So again, combining AI with emotional storytelling, Pedigree made a world-class impact, reinforcing the brand purpose. Let's watch the next case study.
Purpose advertising.
Purpose marketing.
Purpose marketing.
Purpose.
Pedigree and Nexus Studios present Adoptable. Adoptable uses machine learning to transform a basic photo of a shelter dog into studio-quality photography. That shelter dog can then be inserted into any digital pedigree ad. Each ad directs people to a personalized landing page. Here, they can learn more about the dog they just saw. And when adopted, that dog is instantly dropped out of media rotation. Now, every pedigree campaign can feature an adoptable dog near you.
Adoptable uses an AI model that is trained to understand the exact visual composition and the nuance of the specific dog. Fur length, body shape, and color identity can all be customized to match the individual dog waiting in the shelter, right down to its unique markings. And because the rig is fully augmentable, the dog can be positioned to suit any media format.
But currently, 1 in 5 adopted dogs are returned to shelters. Using geographic data like proximity to parks and household sizes, Adoptable matches dogs to the locations that suit them best.
We're using really bleeding edge technology that's never been done before to help us as an activist brand really move our purpose forward.
Adoptable is transformational for us at Pedigree because it puts our purpose at the heart of everything that we do. Now, every dollar we spend on digital out of home will not only help to bring our products to the world, it will help bring adoptable dogs to the world too.
Great. The next slide, please. The second trend is AI-driven personalization and creative augmentation. For example, campaigns like Play Library, which I'll share with you in a second, which turn literature into gamification, interactive experience, and the Adoptable you just saw shows AI potential to create deeply personal and relevant stories. As you can see, right, AI doesn't really replace creativity, it enhances it. It allows us to analyze behavior and tailor-make the experience in real time. And the most important thing is that we need to embrace, AI. AI isn't creative on its own. I mean, AI is not going to take over our jobs, but people who know how to use AI will. The breakthrough comes through from the collision of AI's capabilities with human imagination. So the next slide is the example done in Singapore by Lepab, right? And it combines transforming literature into interactive experience. They turn static literature into interactive sensorial experiences. So as you know, book reading is not that popular. You see bookshops are closing, but this great example uses AI to employ large language models like ChatGPT trained on extensive, books, data sets, and the AI transformed very linear, boring, traditional storytelling into a game mission based on the key plots and character development. This campaign really demonstrates the power of creative collision between old traditional media like, books into new ways of playing with your customers using AI. And this intersection really leads to fresh perspective. But most important, as you can see from this creativity, it's exciting, it's engaging, it will help hopefully improve your ROI. So let's watch this.
Let's face it, kids don't read anymore. For decades, technology keeps giving them more tempting things to do. And now with AI, teachers think it's the final blow to reading.
I was absolutely panicked.
But what if the problem could become the solution? Introducing Playbury, an AI that turns books into something kids love, a video game. And for this, we hired someone who has read all the books in the world, ChatGPT. It is capable of telling famous stories, preserving the original writing, the author's unique tone of voice, and character dialogues again and again. We've launched a custom-built version of ChatGPT that deconstructs a linear plot into a branching story, allowing readers to become players. Pick a book, Playbury will transform it, introducing characters and turning each scene into a mission.
Do we want some graphics? I want some graphics.
It will even prompt itself to generate pixel art graphics for every step of the story. You choose or prompt how the story unfolds, and it adapts to you. After a few chapters, Playberry offers to borrow the actual book for free from the library and read the full story. Launched in libraries across Singapore, it offers visitors a radically new way to read. Extended to schools where kids could finally play games. Singapore was playing books and kept asking for more.
It's interesting how the National Library of Singapore uses AI to transform the reading experience and uses gaming to appeal to readers, especially the younger ones.
Playberry reimagines global education and reading, creating a more engaging and imaginative future in harmony with technology. How was it again? The book is better than the game? Honestly, we think it's both.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea from Lepap. And so let's move on to the third and last trend, which is gamification and multi-sensory engagement. You know, in an era where we've seen from, what's happening around the world, attention span is getting shorter and shorter. We need consumers to really capture, we need our work to capture their attention, and gamification taps in their love for play. So campaigns like Vaseline from O&M, Virtual Skins, gamifies meaningful cause, making social impact, as you can see from the last two campaigns I've just shared with you. Multi-sensory storytelling, engaging the sight, sound, touch, creates really emotional bonds and moments that audience will never, ever forget. The magic comes from emerging entertainment with purpose, crafting experiences that are both joyful and meaningful. In the next slide, I want to share with you this Vaseline Virtual Skins, offering gamers a chance to help raise awareness for burn victims through an integrated in-game experience. This game succeeded because it braced the collision of two seemingly unrelated worlds, the gaming and the social impact, right? And then when these collide, extraordinary experiences, creativity emerges. So let's watch this.
Oh, skin! I got over 1,400 skins, bro.
This guy spent over $7,000.
People ran for their lives when a fire broke out at a nightclub in Thailand.
Vaseline มีแคมเปญมาครับที่แคมเปญว่า Skins for Skin
เฮ้ยจะช่วยคนได้จริงอ่ะผมไม่ซื้อก็ได้สกินเกมอ่ะชิลเลยสมัครกันนะครับมีคนรอสกินจริงๆอยู่
เพื่อสร้างการตระหนักรู้ถึงความสำคัญ
Let's go to the next slide. What connects these trends is their emotional impact, as you can see from these examples. Purpose engages the heart. Purpose doesn't need to be so big, right? People need to care about what you're selling, because if people don't care, they'll never share. AI engages the mind, and gamification taps into the joy of participation, right? Again, all these come from a friction of unexpected ideas colliding between technology and humanity, traditional and innovation, data and emotional. And that's where the magic happens. In conclusion, right? What does it mean for all of us, right? Be bold, right? That's what I'm sharing with you. Be authentic, be experimental. Because when you align with clear purpose, authenticness happens. Make it real, make it relatable, make it relevant. Second, embrace AI not as a competition, but as a collaborator. AI is not just called artificial intelligence. Let it be amplified imagination. Amplified imagination. And finally, design for play, because joy brings deeper connection between your brand and your consumers. With what Muna's section was all about, right? She speaks about gamification, and that's so true. So importantly, just embrace creative collisions, because innovation thrives where ideas, cultures, and technology meet and collide. And that's how we create future-ready brands. Again, if you'd like to explore how your brands can be future-ready, I'll love to help. Do connect with me on LinkedIn. And I hope these trends will be relevant in what you're working on right now. Over to you, Dasheng.
Yeah, Guan, thank you for that. Actually, Tryphon, can you go back one slide, please? Yeah, on this one, I'm very happy you brought up the whole point about purpose, right? And it's the purpose of the brand. I think many of us focus on our purpose. Many marketers focus on the fact that their purpose is to sell, rather than what is the purpose of the brand, which actually is the thing that creates that emotional connection that allows you to storify, allows you to then connect with the audience, and then eventually the outcome is that you will sell something, right? But we're so, because we're looking through the questions in the Q&A, I know we're running a little bit late, but I thought that there was one question that I kind of just wanted to throw out there before we close. All of you who put in questions, thank you so much. We will send out an EDM post this session that will have all the answers by the speakers. Okay, so for all of you, so watch out for that. But the one question I wanted to ask, I wanted to put that out there about purpose, because there was one question that said, now the question is, how do people measure ROI in this world where attribution of efforts is so difficult, given all the walled gardens for platforms and publishers? How can you be confident that it's a specific campaign that's causing uplift versus anything else that's going on? That's a very big question. I'm not sure how we're going to answer this, but I'm going to throw this at Eric and have him take a stab at this one.
Yeah, tough question. I feel like yeah, I'll give it a crack. I think, look, measuring ROI, it's always a tough one. It also depends on, how deep into the funnel you're looking. Probably the best but most expensive way is to do some form of market mix modeling. I'd say then if you don't do that, which is I think a lot of brands can't, to be confident on your specific campaign, you probably first need to know your base levels. I know it's very difficult for us to isolate a specific campaign, especially for those that have always on running, but then you can start to work in this world of proxies. And I think at least what we do on Apple as well is we work with a lot of proxies also, because we don't look at people's data. So I think it's really just figuring out what your base is, knowing what that key objective or return is, and then looking at it that way. And then AI for better audience engagement in multi-channel marketing. There's multiple ways in which you can do it. I think something that I'm doing right now is more from a discovery level. So using AI to really help me hone in on which audiences I should be reaching based on what I need. And then I kind of build my insight development, my media strategy from there. Yeah.
Right. Eric, just to add on to that, having the privilege of working with all these brands that I get to work on, I will say, in response to that question, I will say those top tier market leading MNC global brands, they're talking about 20, 30 different data signals that they're pulling together to form a picture. We're not even talking about triangulation, right? So we're talking about, it's so multi-touch point. So I will say that I fully agree with Eric. You need to know what your baselines are. Then you need to kind of map out your plan over a year. And with each engagement, have a specific data signal that you're looking out for, so that over time you're building a view on your ROI. You're absolutely right. There is no one magic source of this ROI data. That's why I know for my team, we actively hire people from the data side of things, because we need them to look at the data and be able to crunch it and to then make it into a story that says one thing or another, right? Because it all lies in data and how you're collecting it. So I fully agree with that. We're at 11:04. I just wanted, and people are leaving the room, but I just wanted to close with one question to everyone on my panel. And the question is, now, panel, what will be keeping you awake in 2025? What is that one thing that will be keeping you awake in 2025? Muna, do you want to start?
I'm gonna hate myself for saying this, but it's how can we make it better, faster, cheaper for everyone?
Okay. Right? Yeah, I think so. Guan?
It's the fear of keeping up the change. Every time when I learn something new comes up, and it's really tough to obviously learn, restart again. So the fear of keeping up with the change.
And I think on that one, I would say let's all be kinder to ourselves. There really is a lot going on in the world. So unless you start from a point, where you're kinder to yourself and giving yourself time to absorb information, rather than beating yourself up every day and waking up, looking in the mirror and going, why am I not there yet? I think you're going to be the biggest block to your success and your progress. So I totally agree with you, going in on that. I fear that as well. But I have learned to be a little bit kinder to myself and say, okay, there's some things that I must know now. There's some things that it's okay if I know next month. There are some things that okay if I know 6 months from now. It's okay. It will be okay. But just pace yourself, right? And not beat yourself up about it. Now, Eric, last but not least.
Yeah, I think about a lot at night, whether we need to rethink about how we reach people. Is it less about reaching people with pure product and more about reaching people with product opinion? So that's kind of where my head's at these days. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you to all of you who came and joined us today for our first webinar of the year. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope I've kept to the promise that it was going to be a scintillating session. I really enjoyed all the examples, and I personally learned a lot. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and please have a wonderful year 2025 filled with a lot of self-care and self-love. And as Guan Hin said, be experimental, right, with what you're doing. So thank you so much, everybody. We're going to call this to a close. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Muna, Guan Hin, Eric. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Great job.